Hi, friends. We are here with another spooky episode. Why do we have to have all the horror book recommendations during Halloween? Come on, let's do horror year round. Okay, let's do spooky tales year round. I am here with the author of some pretty iconic books you may have heard of recently. I'm excited to talk about a demon in the family, a will, and maybe some murder. So, without further ado, I want to recommend and introduce Vincent Tirado, who everyone may know by We Came to Welcome You. And they're talking about their newest book that is coming out, and that is You Should Have Been Nicer to My Mom. So, without further ado, hey, Vincent, how are you?
Hey, I'm really glad to be here right now.
I hope that introduction was worthy. You're awesome.
Honestly, the fact that you called my books iconic, I was like, oh, thank God someone reads my books.
I am not the only person out here reading your books by any means. You craft such interesting stories full of dread, horror, iconic characters, memes, if you can spot them. And I'm just so excited for your newest book. You Should Have Been Nicer to My Mom. This book comes out March 10th of this year, and I want you to tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure, yeah. So this book follows a young woman who flies back home for the reading of her grandfather's will. She comes from a very prominent and wealthy Dominican family. And so while she is getting to know her relatives all over again, she's never really liked them, but she's playing it cordial. The will comes out, and instead of anyone being told what they are inheriting, it's essentially a last warning from the grandfather saying that one of them is a literal demon and they gotta get rid of it. Or they will all be damned. And now this young woman who already doesn't like her family is very much like, okay, well, I don't really want to be damned, so I guess I'll follow his last, living will, his last testament. But then she finds some clues around the house that point to someone in the family being responsible for her mother's death. And now she's like, you know what? Actually, we can all die together. I got to find out who it was though. So it becomes sort of a back and forth of like, okay, how badly do I love my grandfather that I would want to do this for him, and how badly do I want to get revenge for my mom? So it's a very fun book in my opinion.
I'm so excited to read it. I wanted to know what was an inspiration for you writing this story and
Uh,
where did the title come from?
so the inspiration, I would say definitely Knives Out. In that, like now we have a very large family with like very specific like personalities, and everyone's got like their own sort of like hidden motive, or at least they've got their own sort of baggage that they're coming in with. And like trying to figure out like what's going on, who was responsible for XYZ. Although in Knives Out, we sort of already know who killed the dad. Like we saw it, we did see it, but like as we're like watching it and you go through the movie, you're like, oh wait, there's like way more happening here. And so with that being said, I wanted this book to be about, again, like a large family, a large wealthy family. And instead of, people fighting over inheritances, it's trying to figure out like who here is who does not belong, quite frankly, in this family. And it gets pretty dire. So that's all I'll say about that. Oh, and as
um,
for the title,
yeah,
I it honestly came out of like what the character said at some point. So she literally just says, "You should have been nicer to my mom," and yeah, it gets gruesome afterwards.
I'm so excited to read this. I love a good story that is in the horror genre, but touches on a lot of different real life elements, such as family trauma, miscommunication, grief, dread. Also, we love revenge when it's revenge of someone who did a horrible deed, or it's revenge where it's like no good deed goes unpunished, where someone did
Hmm.
something good, but it was inferred in like a like you're gonna pay for
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
love that. I wanted to know when you're writing horror, do you write and you visualize everything in your mind, or is it more like words just on a page?
For me, it's not just visualizing it. I try to put myself in like the body of the character. So I'm
Mm.
considering like what they're feeling, what they're touching, what they're like doing in any given moment, what they're smelling, essentially. I try to put myself as much in the character's shoes as possible so that I can really build out the world and make it feel like you're really there.
Wow. Okay. I was also curious, what is one of your favorite parts of the experience of writing this book, and what do you want listeners to know when they're reading it?
Oh gosh, my favorite part of writing
Mhm.
this book is I think I like the fact that I had so many different characters with like very different personalities kind of like playing with each other or like talking to each other and like you get to infer a lot of their relationships in that way. I will say the challenge of it, however, was again, I had so many characters and because the entire novel takes place in one night and you're sort of, following it hour by hour of what's, happening in this house. I had to draw a map of the house. So I had, the top floor and the bottom floor like mapped out. And hour by hour, I had to be like, okay, which characters where, what they're doing, how long would it take? Because there's at least like, there's a scene where one character is literally making sancocho, a very Dominican like heavy stew. And I was just like, okay, sancocho would take minimum 2 to 3 hours to make. So I need to make sure that the next 3 chapters or so, this character is only in the kitchen. And so like it was a lot of red string board. Like, okay, where is everybody at? So yeah, I hope that when readers like consider this, like they might be like, oh, this is a lot of characters. How am I supposed to keep track? Like, oh, gee, I know. I was the one suffering the most when writing the characters.
I'm a very like I think when I read books, sometimes I visualize people I know or
Mm.
people who remind me of the characters. Here's the tea. Is there anyone in this book who reminds you of someone you know? And did that make the writing experience even better? I'm just really curious.
Literally, a lot of these characters are just based straight off of my own family members.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lot of like, oh yeah, this guy's definitely my uncle. This is my other uncle. This is like, I'm not gonna say who
Right.
specifically because I'm not trying to get in trouble. But yeah, a lot of these characters are just like, yeah, these are just my family members at this point.
Mm. Okay, I absolutely adore that. And I was curious, there is a demon in the story. While writing about this demonic entity within this house, as they're experiencing grief, as they're experiencing this mystery of what happened to the mom as well, how was it like writing this demon? And did you scare yourself at certain points? Like, what was that experience like?
So I don't really like scare easily. So it was more about because of the type of demon it is. So
Mm.
anyone who really knows Dominican folklore, this demon is El Vaca, which is a very specific demon that is passed down as an inheritance,
Oh,
essentially.
wow.
So there's, which is sort of like why the grandfather is just like, you got to get rid of the demon because
Mm-mm.
it's, this demon will become your inheritance, essentially.
Oh, wow.
And so in writing this this demon I did have to do a fair amount of like research and like all what that entails. Unfortunately there's not really a lot of written like sources that I could have gone to, or at least like not ones in English. I'm not very good at like Spanish. So it was a lot of okay, what few sources can I really use? I ended up also reaching out to a UCLA professor,
Mm.
Robin Derby, who, for some reason, I don't know why, but this white woman knows a lot about Dominican history. She has an entire book about like the Trujillo, dictatorship and everything. So I sat her down. I emailed her and she got back to me like real quick, and we ended up having like essentially just like a Zoom call where I just asked her questions about like this specific folklore and how it pertains to Trujillo and like all these things. So there's like a few like Easter eggs about Trujillo in the
Ooh.
book. But like it's not like you don't really need to know everything in order to really enjoy the book on its own.
I absolutely love how you brought up lore and this mythology that you tied it into the story linked to horror. I was curious, while learning about this and doing research, did you find yourself kind of wanting to maybe intertwine more of that kind of research into your future books? Did that kind of like deepen the flavors of the story, if you will?
It did, and also like for future books, like there are quite a few things that I'm like, oh, I could use this, later
Hmm.
on. I could use that later on. But it was also a little bit of a bittersweet experience because again, like there's not really a lot specifically written on this folklore, from what I could tell. And so when I even tried, asking my mom or my grandma, like they are so like deeply Christian that they've never heard of any of these folklore. Like this just it was not known to
Oh,
them at
wow.
all. And I was like, okay, so I can't even rely on direct sources. You guys were raised in DR for what? Like you don't even know.
They said we don't mess with that. I don't
Right.
know anything about
Yeah. I'm
that.
just
I
kind
was
of
like,
like, okay,
oh,
so you guys are
okay.
useless. That's great.
They're like, why would I answer you? And that's reasonable,
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
reasonable. Well, Black people, what we do? Mind our business. We mind our
But it was just
business.
like annoying because I was just like, I don't want to have to rely on like random other people's like, why can't you just know things? Like
You
why can't
know,
you just like have heard something?
I
Like
don't
again,
know.
it's just it bothered me. But yeah, uh,
I also just I feel like whenever I talk to horror authors, I genuinely feel a lot of interest in what attracts you to horror and of all genres, why you want to write in this one specifically for this book. And I don't know, what were there any like scary stories you heard, growing up? Was there any movies you saw, books you read that kind of made you fall for the genre and now influence your newest book? You should have been nicer to my mom.
I don't know if any horror book or books or movies like really influenced this one, but I will say that my earliest memory of horror, and I tell the story all the time because people like are always shocked. But I remember the first time I had ever seen a horror movie. I was in daycare. I was yeah, the one of the daycare workers was like, "All right, everyone, we're gonna go down into the basement and we're gonna watch a movie." This part is like very normal actually because the basement was a very large area that had a
Okay.
raised stage, and so there was like a TV that we would put on the stage, and that was how we like that was normal. Like we did that shit all the time. And so I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna watch a movie now. I hope it's nothing boring because for some reason, I can't tell you how many times we were forced to watch West Side Story. Like it's ingrained in me, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, yeah, the songs are fun, I guess, but also like, why is it only ever? It's either West Side Story or The Never Ending Story. And I
Oh.
never even got to finish watching The Never Ending Story. It would always like we would always have to finish like halfway through, and then I'd never literally see the. So it truly was never ending for me because I never got to the end. But anyways, so they start passing around, the tape that they're like, oh, we're gonna watch this, and I look at it. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be another boring drama. Like, it's going to be like West Side Story all over again. And what we ended up watching was It Chapter One. And it didn't scare me, the funny thing about it. It was just so interesting to me. I was just like, I was so locked in. I was just like, I need to know what's going on with this clown. I need to
Mm.
know like why is this happening to them? And we finished the first one. Like we finished It Chapter One, and they were like, all right, guys, we're gonna watch this, the next one another time. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, I really got to know what's up with this clown. And we never did. And I can only assume that someone snitched to the parents. And, like, people were like, that's not appropriate for 5-year-olds to watch. And I was just like, no, 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 I need to know. So, again, I was never scared, but I was still just like, oh my God, there's something really interesting going on here. As a 5-year
Hmm.
old watching It Chapter One, I guess.
Wow. I think about like spooky monsters or movies we saw, TV shows we saw as kids and how that influences what we read now and what scares us now. For me, like the film Candyman, that was a movie that genuinely terrified me. I also have a mirror in my room, so I will not be seeing that again. But I genuinely that actor, his voice and his persona, the coat, like
Mm,
one gorgeous looking human being.
Yeah.
Two, I was like, that voice is coming from something deep and ancient in the world.
Tony Todd is a phenomenal actor.
King of horror. And rest in
Like
peace. He was like
yeah.
amazing. And I look back now as an adult and I'm just like, what scared me so much about that movie? And I can never quite put my finger on it. I just know that whenever I watch it, this even the theme song is so foreboding.
Mm.
Hats off to the director and all the actors and all the things they did, because to this day I can't watch it at night. And reading anything that has like, I don't, like an entity that can arrive just based off of a thought, I
Mm.
don't know why. It's very scary to me. And I absolutely love it. So I wasn't sure if there's anything like that that made you fall for the genre or made you like, it scares you in a good way.
I think it wasn't so much the scare. I think it was the lore, like
Mm.
the sort of mythology that followed, specifically like Pennywise. Like I think there was just so much in its storytelling that I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." Because I think from a young age, I never was like quite into horror. Like I was kind of a weenie about it, mostly because like I'm gonna say like early 2000s horror specifically had a lot of jump scares. And, that obviously shocks every time. Like it's a jump scare.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course you're gonna like, have your heart palpitating. But
Absolutely.
like it chapter one didn't really do jump scares. It was like just the slow creeping dread. And I think
Mm.
that's what really grabbed me.
Oh, I hear you. I 110% hear you. I do think that like for a lot of people, clowns are their actual fear. And this entity that can transform, I don't want to spoil. Can you spoil it? But I don't
It
know if you
like right,
can.
it's just like at this point, if you don't know anything about it, that's on you.
Yeah, but there is an entity that can transform from a clown to like a mother or a creepy dad in the shadows, and it alludes to darker adult
Right. Yeah.
references. But because it's happening to kids, you feel powerless, and all the adults in the
Mm,
town don't do anything, and there's a reason why. Even though I may not be a Stephen King fan, I can appreciate what he crafted with it. And
yeah.
I don't know. I can't wait to read You Should Have Been Nicer to My Mom. I'm beyond excited to see how all these little influences impact the books that you write and you create. I was curious, do you have any quotes or anything you want to share to tease your upcoming book?
Yes. Okay.
Yay.
I'm going to read a very short section. She scoffed at her fear. Reality snapped in. She was never afraid of the stairs. What she had been afraid of was what she always felt watching her from the stairs and from much of the house. Xiomara had forever felt something lurking in the corners and shadows and bathrooms, something she couldn't quite parse. Eyes coming from places a person could not always fit. Eyes that always made her think maybe it wasn't a person. And I'll leave that
Ooh,
with you.
I absolutely love that. That's such a good line. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Listen, if you ever want to write a haunted house, I would read it. I would 100% read it. Like,
Haunted houses are so fun. They're so fun to me.
give it to us.
Yeah.
I may dabble in the future. Me, do it now.
Yeah.
What I was at peace, and then I heard an aggravating, grating noise. It is me in the distance. Write the book. That was such an amazing line. Is there anything that you want listeners to know about You Should Have Been Nicer to My Mom before we end the episode?
Okay. I've been told a lot that I keep adding like food into my books, and like now that I see it, I do see it now. Make sure you have a full stomach when you read this one. Because there's a character making sancocho, and it's a very savory meal. So if you're hungry when you read that part, you're gonna hate me.
Ooh, okay. I thought it was going in a different direction where you're
No,
like,
no,
don't
no, no.
eat because I'm
No.
about to mess up your favorite meal. But no, you're saying you're gonna get ratatouille with it. You're gonna get culinary with it. That's
Yeah.
cool. You're gonna do like a Salt Bay, but like horror
Oh my God.
version. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to Photoshop your face in like Salt Bay, but like all
Oh
the
my
horror
God.
tropes, like body horror,
Oh my God.
demons.
Just a little bit, but like no.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Where can everyone find you, and where can they find your book?
You can find me on Blue Sky, V_E_Tirado.
Hmm.
And you can find my book generally anywhere. It's on, Barnes and Nobles, Amazon. I would prefer if people try ordering from Bookshop or any of their local indie bookstores, just so that we can keep indie bookstores alive. But yeah, just you can pretty much get it from anywhere. And I think it'll be available in hardback, ebook, and audiobook.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vincent, for coming on the podcast. Everyone who listened, please check out You Should Have Been Nicer to My Mom by Vincent Tirado. It is going to be a spooky, a wonderful tale for lovers of Knives Out who like a little bit of family conflict and want some revenge in their stories. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, and leave a nice little rating. And thank you for listening. And don't be too freaked out or scared after you finish this episode, guys. You can always tune in on the cozy episode too if you need to. Or you could just be scared like me. Have a great day, and I'll hear you guys later. Bye.